Welcome back. I'm Stan Rave from the U.S. Education team, and this is the second of a three-part presentation focusing on the Power Platform for Education. In the first section of the presentation, we introduced the Power Platform and its components. Williams School is considering these solutions to reinvent and revolutionize how they deliver applications and services to their employees. In this second part of our presentation, I'm going to walk you through the designer experiences that are part of configuring the apps and experiences that Williams School employees will ultimately consume. So let's go ahead and get into the demo now. Our first step is to define the data model that we'll ultimately use within our apps. I'm in my Microsoft 365 tenant, and I have navigated to the Power Platform Admin Center. In the Admin Center is where environments are found. Think of environments as standalone instances of design. There are both production and sandbox type environments, with sandbox environments used for dev builds, training, etc. Generally, admin rights are needed to create and maintain environments. During environment provisioning, you can create the Dataverse database. I've created an environment called School Resource Management and created the corresponding Dataverse database as well. Let's look deeper into the solutions that comprise this environment. I have navigated to make.powerapps.com and changed the environment in the upper right hand of the screen to be School Resource Management. In the left navigation, I have clicked on Solutions. Think of solutions as containers of design that allow us to move builds between environments. There are both managed and unmanaged solutions. Managed solutions cannot be edited directly and are locked down by design. When you purchase a flavor of Dynamics, solutions with the functionality licensed are applied within the environment. You can create your own solutions and add any tables and components that you desire. Solutions are version controlled to ensure that updates to the design are properly deployed. We'll go through some of the design components within the solution now by clicking on the Edit button in the ribbon. A big advantage of using model-driven apps is it opens opportunities for non-developers to execute builds with a designer that requires no coding. Everything we'll see in the presentation today is delivered via a designer experience. Within Solutions, we can see the components including tables, dashboards, and business processes. Let's click into the Teaching Certificate table and look at some of the designer concepts around a single record type. Each table has a set of properties that dictate how the record will operate. This is visible by clicking Settings. It's here where you give the table a name, define how record ownership will operate, decide if notes and activities will be associated to your table, and so on. You are essentially defining the features available for this table when it's being used within an app. Now let's have a look at the columns that comprise the table. The Columns tab displays all the columns that have been created for my Teaching Certificate table. Standard columns are automatically created when the table is first created. You can create hundreds of custom columns for each table as you desire. Adding a column here inserts that column within the Dataverse database automatically. If you click on the New Column button on the ribbon, you can see the wide variety of column types that are available to meet the needs of the apps you'll be creating. Now let's move on to Forms, where we place these columns that people interact with. A form contains the columns that end users will interact with. With model-driven apps, you can associate specific forms to specific security roles, allowing for highly tailored experiences for all job roles within the school. It's this same designer experience that you'll build the forms that are consumed and displayed within the Power Platform portal. We'll be seeing the portal in action later in this presentation. Let's open the main form and take a deeper look. This form is completely editable via the designer we are in. You can build out your form by clicking on the Add Component or Add Field buttons on the ribbon. You can decide how many tabs of data you'd like, if you'd like to have a timeline, and more. You can use the left pane navigation to edit the design on each of the tabs found within your form. Now that we have reviewed how easy it is to make Power Platform forms, let's have a look at how we can create a view or filtered set of records with the designer. Think of views as a filtered set of records. This is often our first line of reporting, meaning people ask for a filtered set of records and they consider that to be a report. There are numerous out-of-box views and it's easy to create your own. Let's open one of these views for a deeper look. You can set how these records will be sorted when displayed. You can click in and establish what your filter criteria are. You can easily define which columns display and in which order. As you build your view, in the background are displayed records that match the design as you compose it. These background records take the guesswork out of designing your view. The great thing about views is that they adhere to the policies of your model-driven app security roles, so you never have to fear that someone will click into a view and see records they don't have the permissions to see. Charts are a visual representation of a view of data. These are a series of charts based on employee request records. Let's drill into one chart to see the setup. In this area chart, I am displaying employee request records by their creation date. My time fence is set to weeks. As part of the chart setup, you define the view used when creating the chart. There are a variety of chart visualizations that you can select from in the ribbon. Charts allow for drilling into the components to filter the data. Let's have a look at how charts sit within a dashboard. A model-driven dashboard is a collection of cells where various content can be displayed. In this example, we are looking at a dashboard whose purpose is an overview of the employee requests that are flowing into the school. You can embed charts, display views of records, and more within these cells. You can easily tailor these dashboards to match the job role and ensure critical data is easy to get to. Power Automate is how you execute the workflow, connections, integrations, and automations needed to execute the apps. These flows contain a series of triggers and resultant actions or automations you'd like as part of that unique process. The flows themselves have logic embedded to take the proper action based on the data being entered into the forms. We are looking here at some of the flows that are associated with the environment our apps and portal are delivered in. Each of these flows has unique triggers and actions that work to automate the processes supporting the school's employees. Think of business rules as a means of performing logic within the form without having to write any code. You can perform calculations, create dependencies, show and hide fields, and more. In this example, within my employee request form, a user defines a request type field when creating the record. This rule then shows the appropriate fields to display based on the type of request the employee wishes to create. In this way, we can execute multiple processes using a single record and display the appropriate fields on the form for population by the user. This designer experience lets us manipulate the fields and field values without any code sitting within the form. The business logic is defined within this designer. Now let's have a look at how to design the business process flow. Think of business process flows as a means of standardizing how you'd like a record to be filled out. In this example, an employee request record of type leave of absence is completed via a process flow. The three main stages are gathering requirements, ensuring approval, and notification request closure. This process flow helps with consistency in reporting and acts as a wonderful onboarding tool that guides users on how to gather information and populate the record. No coding is necessary to create stages and steps, and within those stages to define how you'd like the process to take place. Data is stored, allowing you to capture the overall time spent on the process as well as time intervals within each stage. You can configure the process to require that all fields be populated in a stage before you can advance to the next stage of the process. Flows can be embedded that allow for, say, task creation or other record creation as part of the execution of the process. The app designer allows you to define which tables or entities you'll use and how you'd like to have the records displayed within the application. This app I have named School Resources, and it houses a variety of out-of-box and custom tables. The bottom of the screen displays the tables used within the application. It further defines the forms, views, and dashboards that are accessible within the app. Let's click into the Sitemap Designer. In the sitemap, you can name areas and groups within the application navigation and then add content under those groups. You can add various design components such as tables and dashboards. Save and publish the changes you want, and the app build is complete. The model-driven app will render with the navigation you have created and the tables, forms, views, and dashboards you defined within a designer. Let's briefly discuss security rules for model-driven apps. Once you have completed the design of your model-driven app, you then want to define the security rules for the users that will consume the app you're delivering. A strength of the Power Platform in model-driven apps is the ability to define very detailed security rules that dictate what can be done with every record type that comprises your app. Within a security role like the one we're viewing here, we can set a variety of permissions for each record that the user interacts with. This ability to get very granular with the security model allows for tailoring very specific security roles that match your business needs. Security roles are additive in nature, allowing us to isolate feature sets and grant permissions to specific functionality as users master and learn new application capabilities. What we are looking at here is the Canvas App Designer. We wanted to mirror capabilities in the model-driven web UI and a more pixel-perfect mobile app experience. And that's perfectly suited for a Canvas app. The beauty here is in using the Dataverse connector, we're able to utilize the same data model as that of the web UI we just reviewed. Viewing our data sources, we can easily select which tables from our Dataverse database that we'll be interacting with in the app. In this way, we allow employees to perform time entries and open employee requests in exactly the same manner as the web UI. This is called the tree view. This view is a visual representation of all the pages that comprise the app. We are looking here at the home page for the app. Each page contains images, text labels, and buttons with various logic and navigation capabilities that you can add to the page. If we click on the Time Entries page, we can see how the business logic only displays the Dataverse records for the contact selected within the app. We can select the Run button to render the app as a test while designing it. We've looked at a wide variety of designer experiences while building model-driven and Canvas apps that support school employees. Each of the designers provides a robust set of tools to deliver a customized experience. Building a unique data model using common data model tables, education accelerator tables, and some custom tables, we are able to create our own unique build that matches our business processes. The Microsoft platform takes care of authentication for the apps using Azure Active Directory. We can define detailed security roles to the record field and form levels to ensure people only interact with the records applicable to executing their jobs. Next up is the third and final part of my presentation, showcasing Power Apps and a portal that utilizes the data model we built, along with out-of-box integrations to other applications available when using the Microsoft Power Platform. Be sure to watch the other films in this three-part series, as well as other content on the Biz Apps for Education YouTube channel.